So I was just talking about those rosemary in the front that need to be transplanted. And I dug out some pots. I've been doing some scrounging for soil. I got some remix and some fresh pro mix. I'm kind of going to blend them together to fill out the bottom of the pots, along with a fresh shot of some Kiss. I'm going to go kind of light on it, but I'll put that in the bottom, and then I'll use what's in this bin that's cooked and been in use to fill out the top, so that the plants don't get burned while the new stuff starts to cook in and settle in and, you know, blend, meld, however you want to say that. So there's 4 good sized plants here. One here, 2, 3, 4, and there's this little guy. I don't know what I'll do with that. Maybe I'll stick that in one of the planters in the lab or something, see what it does. It's been struggling from day one, so I tend to just want to flip, kick it, and move on. And then these are growing really well with nice new vegetative long growth on them, and that is an excellent opportunity to do some more propagation. So what I'm going to do is transplant these, and then I'll kill 2 birds at once, or get 2 birds stoned at once, as Ricky would say. And what I'll do is prune them back off the tops, and that prune back will become my propagation for the next round that I'm starting. So all at once, and that prune back will help stimulate root growth out into the new soil and get those plants set up to set good roots in the new soil and then explode back above the ground and give us nice growth. That's about a half a bin. Another partial bin here. Whoops, well, not anymore. And I'm gonna put it, it's like, you know, like maybe a quarter of a cup or so ish, quarter to a third. I'm gonna blend it in. I'm gonna mix that up good with a scoop, and then I'll put the rest of that on and blend that in, and that'll be the bottom part of the planter. And then, like I said, in the top part, we'll reuse the soil that's in the bin that the plants are in. All right, so I got some soil mixed up to go into the pots as the base. Got these set to go. And you may not recall this from previous videos if you haven't been watching for very long, or it may just be too long, but when I make tags, I like to do them on plastic, and I like to use indelible marker. And this is why, because this was started November, I can't read whether that's a 10 or a 16, I think that's a 16. So November 16th, 2023, these seeds were started. So that was last late fall, basically, early winter. And these have been out in the sun all summer. They were under the grow lights in the lab, which also have ultraviolet supplementation. They've been exposed to a lot of intense light, and we can still read the label and know exactly when they were started, where they came from, all that kind of stuff. Rosemary OG. Now in my track log, if I trace that back in the track log, I know where these came from. They came from my friend Amanda, and I believe the company was, I don't remember the company name, but I can look that up in the chart, and I can tell you exactly what the company name is. Maybe I'll snag a snapshot out of the chart. Yeah. All right, so I'm trying to catch the shot for you. And I'm just doing hands again, because the easiest way to feel around the soil and see where root balls are, get your hands in there. And I can feel some pretty good root strands. I'm going to have to break some of the root strands and bases out on these to separate them. But that's okay. It's part of why we go in these big bins. That gives us a lot of flexibility for root masses to expand, and then we can just pull out what we want at the point we want. And then the really cool thing is we can kind of go back like this and kind of slough off or throw off excess soil. And that gives us a really nice root ball that's sort of root pruned, and we could even take a pair of scissors and trim these back to make those roots parse out more. We can also get a chance to get a look at the root health, and we can see that we have new white roots shooting out here in a couple spots. We have some older roots here, but like, you know, it's a really simple way to do it. And you know, again, I talked about lines in that buckwheat plot, you know, where we see that line as a line. nature doesn't see it that way. There is no line. So just grab it and go. Alright, so that one's out. And I'll drop some soda bins and we'll get rolling here. Because it's supposed to rain on top of me. Keep sprinkling. It hasn't really hit yet. So we're going about that full. Oh, a little less than half, maybe a third full. The total container size. And then we're going to take our plant that we pulled out of the way. This is a holy basil, so ooh, that's deep. Wow, that's got a deep root. Gonna set that out of the way for now. And then we'll take some of the soil because this soil's cooked and won't burn them. I'm gonna come back in and scoop some of this out of the corner here and fill. Whoops, I got that little one. Guess it was time for that to go. So I'll fill a little bit. So now the roots of this won't be directly in contact with the new soil that I just mixed, and that way they won't get burned. They'll have a chance as they start to grow out and that cooks down to meet each other on a more even keel, so to speak. Then I'll just fill the rest of that around with some more of this. It shouldn't take too much. And I might, at the end, and probably will, just top a little bit of the new mixed soil on top, and that'll give a little bit of KISS amendment, or nutrient amendment in there. I know I always call it KISS, but what I'm talking about is a nutrient amendment from KISS Organics, in case you're not getting the reference. So, there we go. That's pressed in. It's got a scoop of this soil, the older soil in around it. And like I said, I will come back and do just maybe a light around the collar kind of gig, and just kind of spread that out gently. And then after I do this transplant, I'll come back and water these in thoroughly, and it'll carry that nutrient down through and kind of fill that planter with a fresh nutrient shot. And then in a week or so, after these had a chance to settle in and I don't see like major crashes from too much nutrient or something in the soil, I'll come back, I'll give them a foliar feed. They're going to go out in the sun out with the other plants where they'll get much more sun, and they should start growing like crazy. And they should go from this, they're fairly sticky, but they should become so sticky that you almost can't, you'll grab one and it won't want to let go of your finger. And that's when you know you're really getting the nutrients right. And that's when the flavor profile comes way up. And rosemary is such an awesome herb grown to its fullest expression. Alright, so I'm just going to go transplant the rest of these and I'll show you the clip. And I guess I will show you these as I pull them out just so you can see the other root balls and see the process of kind of separating these. So I'm going between them and like the root bases right here and the root bases right here. I'm just going to run my fingers down and I can feel kind of a seam between them from where I transplanted them in. And I go as deep as I can with my fingers and then kind of grab, scoop that. And out they come. And I'm going to have to put a little bit of this in. Just fairly loose at this point, so I'm going to use my fingers. Enough. I'll take this and put it in. And just for ease of management and visibility for you. Again, we'll come back around. Fill it in nice. The shake is a nice way to kind of even out that settling. Do a little bit of pressing. Now you can get kind of an idea of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if I wanted to go crazy, I could go 10, 11, 12, 13. I could take 13 cuts off of that right off the bat and have 13 new rosemary plants started. So that's kind of handy. What I'll do is I did a whole video on rosemary propagation in the greenhouse, and I'll throw a flashback from that because that was a really cool propagation tray full of rosemary. Some jalapeno peppers and getting ready to transplant. I was going to put all this rosemary into pots, but I decided that I would just put them in the garden bed with everything else and companion plant. and grow them out, and then in the fall, if I want to select ones to go into pots for the greenhouse, I can. And so I was just getting ready to transplant them in and pulling them out, and realized what a nice root system they developed here. So I just thought I would share it quick. So all those rosemary, there's probably 80 rosemary plants there, and they all developed a pretty solid root system most of the way across. Some of these ones on this end not quite as good, so maybe I didn't water as well there or feed as well. Wow, they smell fantastic. Anyway, I just thought I would share this quick. You know, this is without any chemical nutrients. This is using good soil and biology and good trace mineral nutrition, some foliar drenches from Advancing Eco Agriculture, and that's it. Right, and again, just showing you the process here. We parsed out those two. This is 2 plants, so you got to be careful. It does bush out. So we're going to go, see, now I can get underneath them too. Maybe I'll show you that quick. You see how I can get right underneath them now. So now I can just go under them and lift. You see how the 2 root balls kind of separate from each other all by themselves. Then we can gently pull them apart and throw them in. I'll just show you that last root ball quick, because that one hung together nice out in the corner. And actually, yeah, no. Actually, there's another one, but there's not. So there you go. And again, just into the pot. Away we go. So that worked out pretty well. I have a lot more soil left over than I thought I would, which is kind of nice. And what I'm going to do is take this bin, level this back out. These are the ones that the rosemary were just in, and I'll take my cuttings into this out here. And I know I said I was going to put them right in full sun, and they basically are. But what I want to do is protect, especially these black pots. But all of these pots, these are like a ceramic pot, so they stay cooler. But if you recall a video I made about the temperature of the pots and how hot they get in direct sunlight, I'm trying to prevent that 120, 130, 140, 150 degree temperature on the outside of that pot, because that does not help our root system. Remember, plants want to have their roots deep in the soil where it's cool, not out in a burning parking lot. And so because it doesn't take much soil to do propagation for rosemary, and I have this laying around, I'll just scoop some soil into this, and that's where all cutting. I suppose while we're looking at it, I should just mention that this has a lot more like clumpy aggregate sort of texture to it now. I know I've showed it right after it's mixed, but I haven't really probably showed the bottom of a crate. And you can see they're lumps, but they fall apart. And that's that same concept as we like to see in native soils, a good aggregate. Clumps of soil with spaces between them for gas, water, air exchange, microbes, worms, etc. Mosquitoes are horrible out here, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time showing you. But it's pretty simple. Just take a cut. Do just like we did with citrus. Clip off the bottom 3 or 4. They slip in. I'm going to go through and grab a bunch of these, and we're leaving some of the plant. Leaving some of the plant to grow back, so that we don't just totally put a tremendous amount of stress on the plant. Just give you a quick demonstration on the rosemary. Basically just clip off bottom a few leaf sets. Give us nice easy root sites. Make a hole, because these stems aren't all that stiff. We pack back in around them so they're firmed in. Done deal. There you go. 12 disciples. And I'll water these back in with a watering can thoroughly. Not because they need moisture so much, but more to settle all the air gaps and pockets around where we've set them in. Just to get that soil to settle in firm and not have air pockets. Because the air pockets will cause rot instead of root growth.